Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Japan House London. My name is Simon Wright, and I'm the Director of Programming here at Japan House London. So today's event, Conversations in Clay, a talk and pottery demonstration with Lisa Hammond and Yamada Yoji, is organised with our current exhibition, Hyakko 100 plus Makers from Japan, on display in the gallery here this year until the 10th of May. And we're delighted to be able to welcome Lisa Hammond, potter, lecturer and mentor to many aspiring ceramic makers, and Yamada Yoji, one of the makers featured in our current exhibition, who is also one of Lisa's former apprentices. In addition to our audience here in Japan House London, we're also broadcasting live on Zoom, so a warm welcome to all of those of you who are joining online. The event is being recorded, and you'll be able to view a recording of the event, which will be archived on our YouTube channel following the event. So before we start, let me briefly introduce today's participants. Lisa Hammond, MBE, is a soda glaze and Shino potter who works at Maze Hill Pottery in Greenwich, London, and has been a lecturer for over 45 years. She produces high-temperature, functional ware using raw glazing with slip and a palette of firing schedules to achieve rich colour and texture. In recent years, she has developed a body of work titled Soda Shino, inspired by Japanese minoware, using Shino glazes fired alongside slip wool pots in a soda kiln. Her work is held in galleries, museums, and private collections worldwide. She is an honorary member of the Craft Potters Association and founder and chair of Adopt a Potter Charitable Trust and Clay College, Stoke. She was awarded the MBE in 2016 to services to ceramics and preservation of craft skills, and we're very delighted to be able to welcome her here today. Thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you. We also have with us Yamada Yoji, who's come all the way from Japan to be with us for this event. He's born in Shiga Prefecture in the western part of Japan. Yamada Yoji studied ceramics at the Shigaraki Ceramic Research Institute. Inspired by historic British slipware, he moved to the UK in 2007 and trained in soda glazing under Lisa Hammond at Maze Hill Pottery. After returning to Japan, he worked at Furutani Seto before establishing his own practice in Shigaraki. His work explores functional ceramic forms and the traces left by unforced, improvised hand movements, drawing on the inherent qualities of materials. He is engaged in the production of slipware-inspired ceramics using familiar raw materials and local kilns. And he is, as I mentioned before, one of the exhibitors in our exhibition, Hyakko 100% Makers. Please, will you welcome Yamada Yoji? Thank you. And Lisa Hammond. Thank you very much. Also today, we are welcoming Omori Shoko, who will be helping us with interpretation where needed. Thank you very much indeed. Okay. First of all, let us start a little bit about the relationship that you two have. You've known each other for many years. Could you tell us how you first met and maybe how your relationship has developed over time? When was this? Do you know when this was taken?
I can never remember because there's been quite a few apprentices, but Yoji, you think it was 16 years ago, 18 years ago?
18 years ago, I think.
Yeah, 18 years ago. And Yoji sent me an email, didn't you? Which I probably wasn't very good at emails then, but anyway. And said you would like to come and be my apprentice. Quite simple. And I probably just answered, yeah, maybe sometime, not really thinking that he would really it happen, you know. And then maybe, we can't quite work out whether it was a year or 2 years later, you just took it upon yourself to get on a plane and come to an exhibition that he knew I was at. And he just arrived and stood in front of me. I'm Yoji Yamada.
その方が彼女に印象が残ると思って。
I thought I would make a stronger impression on you that way.
Sort of a stalker, really. And in fact, that's what Phil Rogers said to me. Have you got a Japanese stalker? He just said, you said to me, can I come and...
Yeah, that's kind of thing, yeah.
Can I come and show you that I want to be your apprentice? So can I come back with you to London and spend a few days with you? I didn't really have the heart to say no at this point, given that he'd gone halfway across the world. So, and you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
And we got on, and despite Yoji's language then, couldn't really speak much English. But we worked it out. But then there was just before he went, I said, yes, you can come back, we'll work something out, when can you come? And he said, I have to win the lottery first. And I'm thinking, what, you need the money, or what's the...
About visa?
Visa, yeah.
3倍か4倍ぐらいのビザの確率が。
It was extremely difficult to obtain visas at the time. You had there was 30 or 40% chance of getting one.
It still is, actually. Because you were under 27.
Sorry, is it 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 chance?
Yeah. But I think under 27, he wouldn't have been able to come at all, but because it was a youth visa or something, wasn't it? Maybe?
Working holiday.
Working holiday, yeah. So it took maybe a year for that to happen. So then I just got an email saying I won the lottery. And then, okay, come then. Yeah. So it was quite an experience, I think, yeah.
Yeah. それで最初にその後イギリスに来たんですけど、なんかついて2日ぐらいで財布とかパスポートとか全部取られたりして、大変なスタートでした最初は。
And eventually I did make my way to the UK, but on the second day of my arrival, I had all my money and my passport stolen, so it was a baptism of fire.
It was very shocking, wasn't it? And
you said welcome London.
Welcome to London. Very fortunately, we had a friend of mine, Ritsu Takahashi, happened to be staying as well at the same time, and thank goodness, because he explained to you in London, you have to be more careful, you can't leave your bag by the door, and London's not Japan, but then actually Simon helped, I contacted Simon, said, he's lost his visa, he's lost his everything, can you help a little? And you put us in contact with some people to help, actually.
そうみんながこう親切にしてくれてとても助かりましたそれ。
I was saved by the kindness of everyone concerned.
Yeah, fortunately, he was living with me, weren't you? So otherwise, it would have been very
で
difficult.
もなんかとてもこうなんて言うんだろう信用できるっていうか信頼もう信じれるというかそのリサとかその周りにいる人だから。
Very stressful for Yoji, though. I'm surprised he just didn't get on the next plane home. To be honest, well, he couldn't because he didn't have a passport. But very tricky.
But I had a sense of huge trust in you and all the people around me straight away.
Yeah, he didn't have any choice actually, did he?
How long did you stay in the UK for?
A year?
1 year.
そうね。そう、だからそんなスタートだったからあとは良くなっていくだけで。
Yes, things could only get better after that.
Yeah.
とてもいい経験させてもらいました。
And this year turned out to be a very memorable and fulfilling one for me.
For lots of, not always the right reason, maybe to start with. Yeah. Yeah.
So should we talk a little bit about Maze Hill Pottery?
Yeah.
Maybe? This is you.
Yeah.
You're a potter, a teacher, a mentor. I know a potter as well. I mean, people have tried to call you other things, yes?
Yes. Yes.
But you've always impressed on me
Yeah.
that you're a potter.
Yeah, I think it's quite important. Yeah.
And you're a mentor to so many ceramic makers. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do at Maze Hill and your connection with Japan?
Yeah.
And maybe how that relationship as well influences your work.
Yeah, I think my first apprentice was actually Japanese, but she learnt here, Yo Tom. She actually came and visited yesterday to have a chat with Yoji as well. She came and learnt her pottery here actually, and she went to my old college, and the head of department said that she was a bit bored on the weekends, would I possibly take her on? And so actually she was my first apprentice, and she stayed with me for about 3 or 4 years after college. But of course that made it a bit easier for me because I think we were at some exhibition or whatever, and the Crafts Council ran this exhibition, and they said, oh, did you have any inquiries from Japan? And I did at that time. So I said yes, and they said, well, we've got some money from the Department of Trade and Industry for people to go out to Japan 5 days. And first of all, my children, one child was quite young, so I was going to send Yo because she hadn't been home for about 4 years on my behalf. And then I thought, you're crazy, when am I ever going to get the opportunity to go to Japan with a native speaker? So we did go, and yeah, we went for 2 weeks actually, and we went and visited lots of potters. We went to Shigaraki.
Oh.
Didn't meet you though.
No.
We went to Mashiko. We went to quite a few places. I mean, it was quite funny because Yo made all these appointments for all these different places, and I met lots of mayors, and they had no idea really why I was there. So, but yeah, it was a very interesting trip, and I think that gave me a taste of Japan. And then a few years later, we met Ritsu Takahashi. Quite a long story, but basically he just walked past our pottery door. Yo was working there, and she said, oh, a Japanese potter's just walked by. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, well, he looks like a Japanese potter. Okay. And then about...
Like the way that Japanese
Yeah.
architects look like Japanese architects.
Yeah, somehow. And then he just knocked on the door and saw the kilns, and then that was it. He stayed with us for 2 or 3 days, and we built a relationship with him. And I think eventually he came back a couple of times to London, and we took him around, and then he said, why didn't you come to Japan, you know? And so I did. I went for 3 months and went to Mino, and hence I think was a life-changing experience for me. My work still remained the same for Maze Hill Pottery. I've always made standard ware there, and that's gradually grown over the years. But I think in terms of the Shino, it just became fascinated with Chawan tea bowls and Shino glaze particularly. So I think that was really influential for me.
Okay, thank you. So here it's one of your large tsubo.
Tsubo.
And what's happening here?
So this is firing the soda kiln. It's difficult. We've got 2 kilns, one very large one. This is the larger one, but you can't really see how large that is. And then we have a smaller one. And so we're spraying the soda into the kiln at the moment. So this is Matty here, one of my apprentices, sitting over there. And probably Lucas was the other end, because we spray from both ends at the same time. So long firing, takes a whole week for the firing process, to pack the kiln, to fire it, and then for it to cool. Takes 2 or 3 days to cool. And then we have to clean all the bottoms of the pots and get all the waddings off, and it's quite a big process. Oh, this is one of the kiln firings. I think this might have been an open day that we have every Christmas. So we open this is the bigger kiln, the trolley kiln, so the whole thing pulls out. But it's when we do this to the public, we always do it the first weekend of December every year. And we haven't seen what's inside either, so it's a bit of a nerve-wracking event for me, because if I haven't got it right, it's like you're showing it to the public. But I think this firing was okay. Yeah, not too bad at all. So, and it's a good opportunity to explain how it all works. A lot of people don't understand the process of what we actually do. Chawan. Yeah. So this is one of the chawans came out of the soda kiln. And so when I say soda shino, you can see the effect of the soda on the left-hand side more so. And I've brought a few pots that I'll show you when I'm demonstrating, so you can see the transformation from the clay to the fired works. Yeah, and this is another shino on a black clay. This is something I've been doing for maybe, I don't know, 15 years maybe. Just I quite like the contrast of, it's always like rock and snow.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is the last one we have of your slides. If I can ask you, Yoji, this is you in your studio in Shiga. Thank you for coming all that way. Yeah. I know you're very, very busy, and you've squeezed in a few days for us. You lived in the UK during your apprenticeship at Lisa's studio, and you returned last year for your solo exhibition at Goldmark Gallery. British traditions, British pottery traditions seem to play an important role in your work. Can you tell us a little bit about your connection with the UK and how that influences what you do?
焼き物を始める前はイギリスの音楽とかファッションとかが好きだった時期がティーンエイジャーの時はありました。
Before I even got into pottery per se, I was fascinated by British culture in general as a teenager, music and fashion.
で、焼き物を始めてから日本の民芸館ってところでスリップウェアの展示会があって、そのポスターを見たのが初めてスリップウェアとの出会いでしたね。2003、そうです。はい。
And once I did become interested in pottery, I saw a poster for a British slipware exhibition at the Mingei-kan in Japan. This is about 2003, and I was fascinated by it straight away.
それでその後イギリス、それをきっかけにイギリスの陶芸を調べ始めて、でそこでリサの存在を知って彼女に連絡を取ることにしました。
Subsequently, I did a lot of research on pottery from the UK and narrowed down the person I wanted to meet to Lisa, and subsequently I got in touch.
でその後、彼女の元での弟子の期間は1年間を終えて、で日本に帰ってから僕最初に見た古いイギリスのスリップウェアと同じようなものを作りたいと思っていろいろ自分の仕事を始め出したっていうんですかね。
I had the privilege of being an apprentice under Lisa for a year in the UK. After that, I returned to Japan, and I tried to start making my own work based on what I learned from traditional English UK slipware, but making it totally something of my own.
で最初はその憧れで古いものを写したりしてたんですけど、だんだん日本でやる意味とかを考え出して、地元の素材を使って一からスリップウェアを日本で作るならどういう方法で始めるべきかを考えて、今の仕事のそれがベースになっているっていう感じですかね。
At first, I just tried to make faithful copies of the slipware that I had seen in the UK, but then I gradually started thinking about how to incorporate local materials, and the culture of Japan, and started searching for my own direction, and this has formed the basis of my work to this date.
これは、イギリスの伝統的なそのスリップウェアの作り方とは違うんですけど、直接土にスリップで模様を描いて、お皿を作る、模様をつけてるところの画像ですね。
This is an example of how I've veered off the traditional British slipware methods or technique, where I am making patterns on the clay directly. This is a work in progress of a big plate.
それで、日本、できるだけシンプルな方法で一から日本でスリップウェア作り直すというか作るためにと思って、形も丸にして線もできるだけすいません複雑なものをせず、人の手の動きがそのまま残るような線を描くようにと心がけてやり始めました。
So I started off trying to place an emphasis on simplicity and starting from scratch. Therefore, the works that I have chosen are things like this round plate, very simple form, and I have tried to make the patterns not overly complex, but rather spontaneous and showing the character of the hand behind it.
これはそうですね、スリップウェア、イギリスの古い作り方に近いような作り方ですね。
This is more like the traditional British slipware methodology.
で、日本でよく使うような取り皿のサイズかな。
And the size of this work is about the size of a saucer.
で、なんて言うんだろう、こういったものを中心にスリップウェアの技術を使って日本では日常で使うような食器を作っています。
So these are some examples of my work, which are functional ceramics to be used in everyday life.
で、この縁はあれだね、そのイギリスからの古いものから影響を受けてというか要素を取り入れて作ってる。で、模様はその時々であまり決めずに思いつきでやっていることが多いです。
The decoration on this lip or the edge is something that has been inspired by old traditional British slipware, but I try not to overplan or overthink the decorative, the designs beforehand.
それで作ったものは薪の窯で焼くことが基本になってます。
And basically all of my works are fired in a wood-fired kiln.
Do you glaze your work?
Sometimes, but
Mostly not.
yeah, before 昔はそのスリップウェア黄色い色が印象的なんで、それを再現するためにいろいろ釉薬の研究をしてそれに近いものを使ったりもしていました。
I have done. In the past, I was very much interested in recreating the yellow distinctive to British slipware and trying to recreate it via means of different types of glaze.
でも今はその日本でっていうのと信楽に住んでいることもあって、そこを意識するとあまり釉薬は必要ないのかなとか思いましたね。
I have gradually moved away from glazing, mostly because I find myself living in Shigaraki, in Japan.
それでちょっと光沢があるのはその長石フェルドスパのパウダーを振りかけて それを釉薬の代わりのように扱ってます。
For instance, there is no glazing in these works that you see here, but the slight sheen comes from the feldspar powder used at the end.
These works are in the exhibition.
Yeah, there.
They're just over there across the lobby, so please do go and visit them when you can. If you haven't seen them already, my question is, did you choose these to give to Nagata-san, the curator, or did Nagata-san choose them?
私が。
I chose them myself.
What do you think?
I'm very glad we have them. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
I think I was going to say something about it, that I think you're influenced the fact that you live in Shigaraki, which doesn't glaze the work before it goes in the kiln. And I think this is where the cross-pollination has come, hasn't it? So you're using the slip in a very different way now, as well as traditional way, but no glaze, apart from a little feldspar sometimes. Is coming back home to Shigaraki way of working.
I think so. そうかも。Thank you.
It's okay.
I very much agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to what we are all probably here for, actually, the demonstrations, there's this wonderful picture that Lisa's given us. Could you tell us, both of you, what you're working on currently? Maybe start with you, Lisa. I know we can see Yoji here, can't we?
Yoji is here. There he is on the left.
Third from the left. What is this?
So this I've been 30 years at Maze Hill, obviously other places before, but and these are nearly all. I think there were 3 or 4 apprentices missing, but we had a 30th anniversary event. I wanted to invite all the apprentices I could that could come while Yoji was here, because Yoji doesn't come very often, and I just thought it's a good opportunity to celebrate the 30 years. So, you know, some of these faces you'll recognise. You know, most of them are doing really well and having, you know, some of them are little Instagram stars. You know, current apprentice Matty and Lucas there, and Adam from Ireland, and Katya from Russia, and Ellie from Kyrgyzstan. So, you know, all over the place. And this is my little grandson here, because my daughter ended up with one of my apprentices 12 years ago. So I said, after the family business, quite clearly. So what we're working on now, at the moment, obviously clay collage takes a lot of time, and the Adopt Potter, but at the moment we've got Ceramic Art London coming up in the beginning of May.
Does always seem to be very, very busy.
Yeah, people think it's a really relaxing, simple life, and I have to tell the students that come to the college, you know, are you really ready for this? You think it's easy? It's not easy.
Isn't it one of those tranquil, mindful sorts of...
You're running a business, you know, you're having to do everything yourself. You're having to do your books and you know, the accounts and the marketing and the social media now, something else added to it. So it is very busy life, very busy life. Enjoyable, but busy.
And you're busy, aren't you, Yoji?
そう、今年は7回展示があるのかな、日本で。
I have 7 exhibitions planned in Japan.
で、1回中国であって。
And another one in China.
で、まあ、イギリス、ね、皆さんには見てもらえないかもしれないけども、また帰ってこれたらと思ってます。
But I do hope that in the not too distant future, I will be able to have another exhibition in the UK, so that I can show my work to all of you here today.
Wonderful, thank you indeed. And as I said, you can see it in the exhibition here as well. And when I was talking to Nagata-san, the curator of the exhibition from Atelier Muji in Tokyo, and we discovered that one of the exhibitors was actually Yoji, and that we'd actually crossed paths over 10 years ago was, wonderful, wonderful
nice.
coincidence. Okay. Shall we get on with
Okay,
some
yeah.
showing? Lisa's going to start with some demonstration of the work that you do, and then we'll pass over to Yoji after that. We're just going to move the tables and chairs around
A little bit,
and
yeah.
set up. And you'll also be able to see what's happening close up on the screen as
Yeah.
well. So if you're right at the back, don't worry too much.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we
Yeah.
get moving?
So you can see, I've brought you a couple of fired things so you can see kind of what they look like, because it looks very different, doesn't it, in its raw state. So I'm going to start with making a chawan.
Can we all hear? Are we okay?
Can you hear? Yeah?
Yeah.
Ish. Is it a bit quiet? Do you want me to talk louder? Yeah? So this might look a bit odd. I'm throwing on a wooden block here. This is something I picked up in Japan with Ken Matsuzaki, because I normally use this when I use my kick wheel, but you know, we couldn't bring that as well. So, and it's very heavy. But it is quite nice to be able to throw on the top here, because it's a bit like throwing a chawan on a chuck, but you know exactly how much clay you're using. So it has a good use. As you can see, I don't bother too much about centering it. I think because the training that I had was, you know, more production kind of stuff, I naturally center it as I go along anyway. So even if I try to throw it a bit off center, it doesn't work. So some of you may have experienced tea ceremony. So, you know, there's a few rules. I mean, Ritsu, my friend in Japan, he always says, whatever you do, you're free to do what you like. And I think that's true. But I think some things have to be adhered to a little bit, because tea masters don't approve of lots of lines on the inside of the tea bowls, because it obviously ruins their tea brushes there. So
Lisa, I actually have a question already through on Zoom.
okay.
Forgive me for
That's
asking so already. How many grams of clay is that?
So this is about, I use between 700 and 800 for these. Yeah. This is very unusual for me to work in grams, I hasten to add. I usually work in pounds and ounces still. But this is in grams.
And the follow-up question to that is, what's the clay?
Well, it's a black clay, but it's black commercial clay, but it isn't used straight. The clays that we use, I mean, obviously I'm in London. I don't have a big barn that I can mix clay in, so we have to use commercial clays, but I never use the same. I can't use it on its own. They're just not right for us, so I mix several different clays together. So there's actually 3 in this one, isn't there? So I use an ox tongue, which some of you might have seen or used. It's quite useful for just making sure you've got that nice soft curve there. You know, a tea bowl, in a way, a chawan wants to be slightly curved, because when you drink from it, it's quite unctuous sort of stuff, isn't it? Bubbly. And it rolls back down. And if it was flat, it wouldn't go into the tea pool. So, you know, quite often you'll see tea pools in tea bowls, which is very nice. Once you finish the drink, it rolls back down into the tea pool. So I was doing a few demonstrations of these yesterday, and I was saying I don't I don't dismiss any bowl at this stage. I try and make them quite quickly. I don't think too much about it. Because I've learned over the years that the ones that I think, oh, I don't know about that one, I've learned that when you've cut them, which I'm going to do in a minute, they're the ones that often work. It's really strange. So, you know, it is worth keeping them, and then I tend to cull things towards the end. Lucas, actually, can you give me another? I've just thought this. Ooh, there you go. Yeah, I forgot to have my other wire. Take that. Just need to get rid of that. So I'm going to throw a Yunomi. So I don't know if people know, you know, some people won't know the difference between Yunomi and Chawan. So Yunomi, to me, tell me if I'm wrong, is everyday drinking tea. And Chawan is tea ceremony, or, you know, green tea that is matcha tea. So it's quite different. So I'm going to make a Yunomi now, and then what I'll do is I'll finish both of those and then put some slip on it so you can see the whole process. So I do throw these off a chuck. I think it's because they've got quite a narrow base. When you're trying to make a chawan off of a hump, it's quite difficult to get the base right to come out wide enough. So hence why I throw on top of the wooden block. Have you seen this before, Yoji? Or is this just a Ken thing, the wooden block? Have you seen anybody? No, I think it must be just Ken. Yeah.
So when you say Ken Matsuzaki,
yeah,
in Mashiko.
So from Mashiko, yeah, he's a long-standing friend of mine and the college's. I must have known him 25 years now, no, 23 years, something like that.
And for those who don't know, Matsuzaki Ken is the apprentice of the apprentice of Hamada Shoji.
Yeah, so very great lineage there. So he was apprenticed to Shimoka sensei, and Shimoka was apprenticed to Hamada. So yeah, he's a great friend of Clay College. You know, our students came back, went to Japan last September, and I mean they're just amazing. They kind of organise everything for us that end, really. Him and his empia, and he likes very much what we do with the college. And if he's over here, he'll very often come and do demonstrations for the students at the college as well. So this is a faceted, like the black, and there's a red one there. So I've got many different ways of doing these, so this is just one way. And once I've cut the outside, I then don't touch the outside again. Because I'm going to stretch it afterwards. Gonna have to hurry up here because I've got 15 minutes left. Oops. So the shape I tried to make is kind of slightly tulip shape, I guess. This is always a bit risky here because I've done this quite quickly, and be carefully that you don't cut too far and go through. especially when you're trying to beat the clock here. Not too bad, I'm going to leave it there. So the way that I finish this, I don't, I cut it, oh no, sorry, I need to take my water out. I use the ox tongue again, just to compress the clay on the inside. I mean, some of you may have found that when you leave a thick bottom on something, you get an S crack on it. So this is quite a good way of compressing the clay a little bit. And then I actually trim it off in kind of quite a random way. And it tends to make each one of these quite different. So that I don't sort of, it's not too, what's the word? It's not too formulaic. You know, each one will be a little bit different. Okay, so these are the two basic shapes. Oh, thank you. I'm going to work on now. So first of all, we'll go Chawan, I think. So these are some I made either yesterday or the day before. I'm going to put a few in front of you to see that. I'll put them here because obviously they're all slightly different, and I don't, as I say, I don't think about them too much when I'm doing them. I just let the clay choose the way it wants to go. Okay, I'm going to cut that one. I've forgotten my sponge. No, it's probably in that box. Yeah, you could grab it for me. So if you look at the undulating ring, often a lot of chawans they mimic the mountains in Japan, but I mean, I don't have quite as many mountains as in this as maybe there are in Japan. But of course the top of it is uneven, so when you put it on here, it's going to flatten some of the peaks. So generally I put a piece of sponge or something underneath it. Oh, no. Do you remember the cloth I used, Matty, yesterday? So this is a wooden tool. So this is very much a Mino thing, I think. So it's made from red pine, and it's quite easy to sharpen it because it has a harder edge of hardwood or harder wood, the red part, and obviously the whiter bit of wood pairs away easily. So I've got a few different ways I do this, but I'm going to do it more Mino way, or the way I was seeing it. So marking out the foot ring. So the foot ring is very important with these things. Now there's always a danger, especially with this, that I cut through the bottom, and it does happen. So you have to be a bit careful. Ah, thank you, that's great, that'll do. That would just help cushion it a little bit. So try to do it quite spontaneously, not making too many cuts if I can. I think the thing I like about chawan for me, and it's very different to the other work that I make, it's quite expressive and quick and direct, you know, so I'm going to use this because I've forgotten my little tool that I use. This end is a little sharp here, so it tends to make it a bit, that's the wrong tool. Okay, doesn't matter, I'll do it. It's my fault, I picked the tools out. Can't blame anybody else. It doesn't quite work in the same way. but if you've got the other two, it's a little bit more rounded here, and I can come through one way and then back another. But anyway, you'll get the idea. So Chawan has a lower foot ring, because when you're drinking from a bowl, you're very much cupping it in your hands like this. You see I'm squashing it a little bit. It's quite nice to have a little bit of something to, that sits better in your hand, and, you're drinking it like that. So I would probably do a bit more, but I'm running out of time if I'm going to do the other things I can do. But you can see from some of the others how I finish them, but that's pretty well finished. Right, now I'm going to do one of these. Things have been drying a little bit quick for me here. I like them a little bit softer, usually, because we talked about the S-crack. Well, if it's very thick, even with that compression, you can find that, it'll crack. So I generally try and do them really soft, and I quite like, you're not pushing against the tool then. So with these, I just I just have a go and see what comes. So sometimes I cut them in a square. Maybe I'll do a triangle one for this because I don't have another one. It just sort of depends on how it came off the wheel, really, as to what I do to it. You can see there's a bit of resistance there, where quite usually when it's a bit softer, I don't have that. I don't work in an air-conditioned room, so that makes a big difference, actually, the aircon. In fact, if anything, we have the reverse problem, don't we? Trying to get things dry. So you can see how I cut them. If I don't like it, I might sometimes go back and take a bit more, if I think it needs a little bit more. Take a bit more of the weight out of it. Could you go and grab my tools? Because I definitely can't do the base with this. This one. The other thing I'm going to do afterwards is to put some slip on them, so you can see how I do that. I bought a plate because it's kind of easy to put the slip on that, and this is kind of what Yoji's going to end up with. Obviously Yoji's using my clay, black clay, and he's using our slip. So this is actually our usual tan slip, but on the black clay, so it goes very red. Thank you. I want the one with the... Yeah, that one. Thank you. They look the same, the other end. So these are ones I made, or some of the ones I made yesterday. So I'll quickly put a bit of slip on those in a minute. Thank you. Let's just move these for now. Get a bit more space. So with these, I nearly always use a metal tool because it's quite hard to get the right kind of mark, especially when you're doing sort of triangular shapes. Sometimes I would just leave that because I think it's like a little footprint or something. I don't try and make it necessarily perfect. I really do sort of go with what the clay suggests rather than, oh, that's how I did it last time, so I'll do it that way. So you'll see from the bottom of these, some of them are quite different. So now we're going to put a bit of slip on. Thank you. Probably needs a mix, doesn't it? forgot about that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. So just make sure it's nice and even. So with the plates, I've got lots of different ways I put slip on, and one of them was like you saw on there, didn't you? Big handfuls, you know. So it really depends on what pot I'm doing. But generally with the plates, don't usually do that. I tend to use a Hakami brush, and so Hakami brush is just a bunch of twigs really. It's rice straw, something I discovered in Japan a long time ago, and I love it. I just use it on all sorts of things. They wear out quite quickly, actually. They get very soft. I use some of them, sometimes I use it in glaze, sometimes I use it... okay, so... Yoji, can I borrow your thin slip?
Oh, okay.
Yellow one, anything will do, doesn't matter what. Yellow one?
Yellow one is okay?
Yeah, can I dip?
Yeah.
Maybe. Have you got a little jug?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I've just thought about this. Little, oh, okay.
Oh,
This
okay?
is yellow. Huh? Okay, thank you. So, one thing I would do sometimes is I might just leave that. It's just happened. But often I'll use the other end. I discovered that can be quite interesting. You have to wait a little bit usually for the slip to come in. So you're not just putting slip on. You also sometimes it's more interesting to take it off in areas. So you might still a little soon. This slip's a bit different from the tan slip. If I wait a little bit longer. Nah. Okay. This one's not quite as simple as the tan slip, but you get my drift. You can actually take off the slip, and so you'll get the black clay creeping through this. Actually, with the yellow slip, it looks a bit like a banana because you've got the black and the yellow. So, but lots of different ways you can make things, more interesting. No, I'm not going to do that one. Oh, we're nearly at time. So these are quite useful as well, I found, for sort of hanging on to it. Something else I do, but you can't really do it now, they're too soft, is to pour on the inside and let it run down. And you'll see from some of the pots like that. That's been done in that way. So it's been just poured from the inside, and it's what happens when it happens. So again, it's quite spontaneous. It's not too contrived. I'm not trying to control everything too much. So we both use slip, but in different ways. But it's a very similar thing in some ways, Anyway, I think that's probably it. So you can see from these chawans, these ones have been poured. This one's been brushed on in the same way as the plate and that. Don't think I've got one. It's kind of what I had around in the workshop yesterday. So. Yeah, I haven't got one where I take off, but you can find them online if you want to see the difference
Are they glazed?
No, so they're not. These particular ones are, but most of our work that we do in the soda kiln is not glazed at all. It's just got slip-on, and then it goes in the soda firing, and when we spray the soda in, that forms the glass on these. But these chinos are glazed, but we have to hide these in the soda kiln so they don't get too manipulated by the soda. But without the soda, we wouldn't necessarily get the effects that we get. So,
Okay. Thank you.
anyway, I think
Thank you very much.
I'm done. Thank you.
My turn to go over the other side now, and we're going to have a demonstration from Yoji.
Hi. Hi.いいですかね。
Absolutely.
はい。お願いします。
はい。
じゃあ最初にスリップで模様を
I would first like to demonstrate how I put on the slip.
ベースになる粘土を
So
作っていき
I'm
ます。
preparing the slab of clay.
Maybe.
I'm not sure which microphone it is.
普段はその機械を使って生地を伸ばすこともあります。
Quite often, I use mechanical means of flattening out these slabs.
Can you hear at the back? No,
No.
We can't hear. Maybe we need to adjust the microphones a little.
Son,
大丈夫？
Maybe. Let's carry on.
ああ。
Let's see.
それでまあいつも仕事するときは、30とか50とか100とかこういうものを用意して、連続して模様をつけていきます。
I try to prepare quite a few of these slabs when I am working with slip, maybe 30 or 50, anyway, enough so that I can set up a rhythm.
でまあ、初めはいつも決めてる模様を、まあ、島のやつだったりとかのから始めてだんだんこう模様を、まあ、自分が作ったものに反応して模様を動かしていくような感じで進めていきます。
Normally, I start off by making patterns that are very, very simple, like stripes, and then gradually go on to variations on that, depending on how the patterns are turning out.
で今回はこの口のサイズが違う2種類の道具を持ってきました。
So I have two of these utensils, tools that I will use to pour the slip, and you may be able to see that the spouts are of different diameters. One is narrower than the other.
でまず最初に全体に泥をかけて、
So
よいしょ。
I have prepared the surface.
模様をつけるのにはまあ数十秒これぐらいのスピードでど
I
んどんどん
try
どん
to work at this kind of pace. Less than a minute. 数十秒とおっしゃいますと30秒40秒ぐらいですか？もっと少ない
今どれぐらいの時間かかってただろう10秒ぐらい
Maybe perhaps I spent about 10 seconds on the last one. I try to keep up a fairly quick pace and try not to overwork or overthink things.
あまり考えずにまあどんどん手を動かすって感じです。
Yes, I try to work with my hands rather than with my brain.
There's a common theme there, isn't there?
And to count it in seconds as well, rather than for each piece.
Yeah, it's quick.
どんどん周りは汚れていきますでも
The table and my surroundings are gradually getting spattered.
I think potters repeat themselves many, many times, and I think in the end it becomes a sort of body thing where you don't have to think anymore, your body just knows what to do.
Muscle memory.
Muscle memory, yeah. Yeah.
ああそうね反応するって感じですねなんか
Yes, your
考えるというか。
body is acting and reacting.
This white slip, it appears white to me. What colour will it be when it...
Yellow.
Yeah.
ああこれは黄色のやつですねチタンが入ってて
It contains titanium, so it would turn yellow.
And the brown?
It's a black one.
はい、スリップの色は黒くなる。
うん
Black.
So Yoji's playing with several different surfaces here because he's got black clay with a orangey slip, and then sometimes the black on top of that, and then of course he's using a different clay with, you know, yellow slip and black on top of that. So many combinations.
これは別の道具で
So I'm using a different tool here.
What's this tool called?
A slip trailer.
スリップトレーラーかな、
Slip trailer.
でまあリサも化粧を脱ぎ取ってたので僕もそれしようと思います
Because Lisa was working directly onto the surface, I'm trying to emulate her here.
よいしょでまあ模様をつけるのはこれぐらいにして次は形を作っていきますね
So I will try to keep the decorative aspect to a minimum, and now I'll try to work with shapes.
最初にじゃあお皿作り
So
ます
a plate, Sara, to begin with.
これは昨日模様をつけた生地で
So this is something I worked on yesterday. I worked on the pattern.
でまあとても単純なただ押すだけといったら押すだけの作業です
And the process here is fairly simple. I'm just simply pressing the slab, the prepared product onto this mold.
ただ土を締めるというかこう こういうふう
I
に
am
力を
trying to compact the clay.
This is the big difference, isn't it, between what
Yeah.
you're doing there and what
So
Yoji is doing?
hand building, totally. Yeah.
はい、手びねりですか。これが幼児さんの大きな特徴ですね。
まあ片押しそうですね、
はい
ろくろ電動ろくろを使わないっていうような
Yes, instead of using a electric wheel, this is something that I tend to do manually.
But just as quick, huh?
使わなくても十分
そうね
速いスピードで出来上がります。
So this is not a wheel. So what you said was that not using a wheel, but you're using
Banding wheel,
いやバンディング
a
ウィール
different a banding
Yeah.
wheel.
hand wheel.
で、まあ、お皿の場合はそのイギリスの古いスリップウェアを手本にすることが多いので口をカットして、素焼きの、ねまあ、棒みたいなもので口を押していきます。
So for plates, I do tend to emulate the traditional British slipwork style. Here you can see that I have cut away at the lip and creating quite a traditional design. And this would be fired unglazed.
感じかな。
I think
これ
we
で
used to call them pie crust.
パイクラスト、パイの縁のような形ということですね。
よいしょ。じゃあ次はボールを作っていきます。
I will work on a bowl next.
そうね。まあこれと同じサイズの土をまあ使ってボールにするのでこう外側に模様がくるように。
The basic slab that I'm working on is the same as for that one, and because it's a bowl, I will try to show the decorative aspects on the outside wall.
よいしょ。で、まあここまでは同じ作業が続きます。
So the same process here again.
で、少しずつ物に深さをつけていきます。
But I try to deepen the vessel
口をすぼめて。
and thin out the lip and the walls.
で手でこう動かしているので外側の模様もちょっとずつ動いていきます。
And because I am molding the lip and the walls, the pattern on the outside is is distorting itself.
で叩いたりして。
And I use other methods like using the sandbag and
よいしょ。
the wooden tool to flatten out the sides.
よいしょ。で口にシワが寄ったりするんだけどそれは後でちょっと整えたりします。
And there can be wrinkles at the lip, but that is something that can be adjusted later.
よいしょ。これはちっちゃい砂袋。
So I have a smaller version of the sandbag.
I don't think I've ever seen people use little sandbags in the UK. A really useful little thing, actually.
でもとてもなんか
People
形
use
作るのに
wooden
も使える
things
し。
sometimes, but not sand.
Really
It's a
does.
bit more,
It's a very
bit softer.
versatile tool. apparently.
Very versatile.
We have one piece in the exhibition, well, several pieces by one, which have been hollowed out with
Elbow.
your elbow. Is that something that you do?
I don't think I've done that, no. I might try it next week.
よいしょ。でまあちょっとこれ深く作るのでだいぶ土は柔らかい状態ではあります。
So because I am trying to deepen the vessel, I am working with clay that is still fairly soft.
だから完全にこう形を整えるのはちょっと難しくて、ちょっと乾いてから全体を作っていくことになりますね。
However, that means it is also difficult to finish off in its present state. So I will wait for it to dry out and harden a little bit more before finishing off the bowl.
だから今はちょっと口を整えるぐらいで。
All I can do at this point is make the lip a little tidier.
それで次の作業に移りたいと思います。
And then I will move on to the next process.
よいしょ。よいしょ。よいしょ。この形はおかず入れたりとかする人もいるし、物を飲んだりする人もいるんで、ちょっと口を丁寧に作ります。
I'm trying to smooth out the lip because people may eat food from it or drink from the bowl. So I'm trying to make it pleasant to use.
これぐらいで、あとはちょっと乾いてから形を整えることになります。
So I will leave this for now and come back to it when it has dried out a little.
次はじゃあ古いイギリスのスリップウェアらしい形。
Next, I would like to work on a shape that is more aligned with a traditional British slipwear style.
これはいつかな、水曜日にリサの工房で模様をつけたものです。
So this is something I prepared at Lisa's kiln on Wednesday. It already has patterns I have made on it.
でなんか日本の素材と比べるとイギリスのものはなんかすごい粘りがあるように感じるのと、
the clay feels stickier, more viscous compared to the clay that I normally work with in Japan.
で乾くのにも少し時間がかかるような気がします。
And I do feel that it takes a little longer to dry out as well.
でこれは粘土で作った型ですね。ここにこの生地を押し込んでいきます。
So this is a mold that I have made from clay, and what I will do is to take the slab and mold it onto this shape.
でこういう型で作る仕事はこのように形を決めてしまうんですけど、こういうふうに手で作ると一個一個が別の形に作れるメリットがあるかなと。
So rather than using tools like this, this method.
Can you hold it mic near your? No.
Sorry, this method ensures that each piece turns out slightly differently.
大丈夫かな。でこれも少しちょっと口をしぼめて深みを作って。
So I'm trying to give this slab some depth.
入るかな。よいしょ。よいしょ。ちょっと大きいかも。ちょっと型が大きそうなんで切ります。よいしょ。ちょっと大きい。
Okay, I find that the mold is slightly bigger than I want, so I am cutting it down.
で普通型は石膏とか素焼きしたものとか木とか使うと思うんですけど、このように粘土がちょっと乾いたぐらいの状態で型を作っていると自分でその場で動かせるのでSo
normal idea of a mold would be something that is hard, something that has already been fired or made of wood. But to have a semi-dry clay mold, it means that it is more malleable. I can adjust it to fit my purpose as I work with it, as you can see here.
形を確認しながらちょっと外側から押したりして作っていきます。
So I am changing the shape of both the mold and the work that I work in progress.
だから型だけど手びねりみたいな感じかな。プレスモルディングモデルにプレスしながらもこうハンドビルディングをしているような形。
So I am doing both the hand building and pressing the mold at the same time.
あ、もう時間かなこれ。あとまた最初のこれを作ったように。
And again, I am going to work on the edges as I did it before.
よいしょ。ほいほいほい。でこれで一周回って終わりですね。
So I will work this pattern all around the edge.
で終わりです。
And that's done.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. ありがとうございます。
Please do take a seat. We have a few minutes for some questions, I believe. Can you hear me? You can hear me, good. Okay then. Does anybody have any questions here in the room? We've had a few come through. You do, right at the back. If you could keep your hand up, please, and so we can get a microphone to you so that the people online can also hear your question. Right at the back. If you keep your hand up, please, sir. Thank you.
Hi, all of you. Thank you very much. It was really interesting. Lisa, you mentioned about the soda kiln firing. Could you just quickly explain at what point the soda is sprayed in and how that coats everything enough to be able to make it non-porous?
So it's at high temperature. So we fire our kiln to 1300. I'm not going to go too technical here because maybe a lot of people aren't, actually making pots, but it goes to about 1300, cone 12, and we spray in about cone 8, and it takes about 3 hours. So we're spraying a saturated solution of bicarbonate of soda. People use different kinds, but we use bicarbonate of soda. And what happens is it's carried on the flame, and it as it goes through the kiln. It's a downdraft kiln, and out through the chimney, and it follows the flame path. And that's why you often see some of our pots, like one side has had a lot of soda and the other side not so much, because it's following the flame, the way the flame is going. Does that answer it? Is that what you were after?
What if it doesn't reach part of it? Would it not be waterproof anymore?
Oh no, it'll still be waterproof.
So the question was, what if it doesn't reach part of it?
What if it doesn't? It doesn't really matter, because the pots are still vitrified because they're fired very high. It just will be more matte, which is in fact kind of what we're going to hope to get with Yoji's work, because he wants them more matte, like the work in Shigaraki and the work he's making there. But they will still be equally as usable.
Thank you. We have a question on Zoom. This is for Yoji. So Yoji, I'm interested in the sheen that you're getting without glaze. Could you tell us a little bit more about the feldspar
あ
and what it is and how you apply it?
非常に興味を持っていました。その特徴、そしてどのような使い方をするとあのような光沢が生まれるのか教えてください。
There's no name. I can't shame anybody
なんか
for
その
for asking that
日本の
question.
場合長石でもすごいたくさん種類があって少量しかないものもあるしたくさんあるものもあるしいろいろそれをミックスして僕使っててで焼き方はちょっとマットにするには一度焼き上げて1300度ぐらいで焼き上げて900度ぐらいまで下げてそこからまた還元をかけるというかすごいたくさん一酸化炭素すすを送り込んでそれを器の表面に付着させてちょっとマットな表情を作ったりしてます。
It is quite difficult to explain in detail, but in Japan there are many different kinds of feldspar, and I mix my own blend, which I use. And as far as the mat and the sheen, my work is fired at a very high temperature, 1300. Then it's reduced, and then it goes through a reduction process around 900 degrees, and then ash or the byproduct sticks itself to the surface, which provides the matte and the sheen.
So the fly ash, because it's a wood kiln, will also affect the work because he's firing with wood, and obviously the ash goes in the air.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions in the room? We have one question here. If you could keep... Sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
We've got questions on here.
Thank you
too.
very much, guys. It was a really interesting demonstration. Just a question for both of you. You talk a lot about like the kind of surrendering to the clay and being quite quick and quite carefree. I just wanted to know, like, where has that come from and how's your relationship changed over time with the clay, really?
I don't think you can be like that after just a couple of years. I've been doing this like 45, nearly 50 years. So I think when I first started, no, I couldn't do that. I'm thinking about everything. But I think the more you let go of your head, the more I think it's more interesting. Not overthinking everything is a better way to work, really. Don't know if that's going to be similar.
僕の場合は職人っていうかただ作る人になりたかったのが焼き物を始めた理由でもあるのでそれが仕事の一部というか早く作ることを求められるような、人になりたかったからって感じです。
芸術家に対して職人ということですね。
まあそんな感じですね。
Yes, from the very start, I try to aim to become a craftsman, a maker rather than an artist. And for a craftsman, you have to go quickly about your job, to be productive and not to overthink, but to create the work that you were meant to do in a speedy manner. So I think that is something that has been ingrained inside me from the start.
Thank you. And that follows on, I think, very clearly from a question, very clearly to a question we have on Zoom as well. There are a couple that are about education, actually. One I'm going to ask you, which is, this person has been taking a course in ceramics, but what route would you recommend if you want to continue?
Very difficult because it depends. Obviously, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I think education, you can't be, you've got to spend a good long time. They used to say it takes 7 years to train a thrower in Stoke-on-Trent, and 10,000 hours. It's no different, really, I don't think, to be doing anything like being a musician or anything that requires constant practice. I think in the world that we're in at the moment, we expect to be able to do everything in 5 minutes. And it's just not like that with ceramics. You know, you repeat, do again and again and again. And I think, obviously go to clay college, you know, it's quite obvious, isn't it? Where you can get a good, you know, the kind of training that we give our students at clay college, we go through everything we can think of. I think it's the best of the arts, the school training I had when I went, you know, which was an HND. It wasn't a degree then, which I think is a really bad idea, because it's all about concept, not about actually creating things and making things. And I think we kind of tried to get the best of a kind of workshop kind of environment going, like there used to be training workshops for potters, which there aren't any longer. So a combination of, you know, a good school training, and so we go through everything, you know, and we try and these people learn how to fire kilns, not somebody else doing it for them. How clay works, how glaze works. You know, they get to experience all the different firings and soda firing and wood firing and electric firing, so they can make good, solid decisions when they leave.
Thank you. And there's another question that goes on from that, so I'm sorry if you've got questions here and we're running out of time. I do apologize, but it's to Yoji, really, I think. I know you're an established maker now, but this is about, what is it like to be an apprentice?
I think if you ask, what's it like to be an apprentice with me? Or somebody else? You can ask these two.
朝は犬の散歩から一日が始まって、で、まあリサが仕事する準備をすべてやりながら、過ごしてて、もっと素直だったと思います今より。
犬の散歩というのはリサさん。
そうですそうです。
I remember the first thing I had to do in the day was to take Lisa's dogs out for a walk before preparing anything in the pottery. But I think my life was a lot simpler, and I was more receptive then.
I think if you look at Japanese, we talked a little bit about this the other day. Ken Matsuzaki's current apprentice has been with him 10 or 11 years. That gives you some idea. I think when Yoji came to me, I'd be sitting on my wheel going, what have I done with that tool? And he would hop off his wheel and immediately rush around looking for it. Well, I was like, no, it's fine. I'm just talking to myself. But the thing that I really appreciated, and I think comes from a Japanese attitude about thinking ahead, was that when I'm packing the kiln, I'm looking to pack something, and I think, and he's already assessing the situation and thinking, she's going to need another mug. So there he was, standing behind me with another mug. That is something that you have to teach, I think, Western apprentices. They don't, anticipate in the same way that I think Japanese people do, or Japanese apprentices do.
Do you have an apprentice?
Not now.
Will you?
Well,
Somebody who can anticipate.
でも時々一人で働きたいからって思う時が多いです。一人で働きたい。
For the most part, I prefer working alone.
I did too, but I mean, you know, we've had a conversation about it. I'm trying to talk him into it.
Watch this space then.
Watch
Maybe
this
it's your
space.
opportunity to go to Shiga and work with Yoji.
でもリサみたいになりたいから、いつか弟子を持てるようになれたらと思います。
But I do look up to Lisa and the path that she has opened up to me, so I do hope to take on apprentices in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That's all we have time for, I'm afraid. Thank you very much to Lisa Hammond and to Yamada Yoji. Thank you. Thank you very much for this in-depth insight into your work. Thank you very much indeed, Yoji, for coming all the way over from Japan for us. We do have an exhibition which is proving very popular at the moment as well. So if you haven't seen the exhibition and you would like to see it, I advise that you book and maybe come on a weekday. Yoji has a gallery tour after this in the gallery, where he'll be looking at various works that he wants to look at and talk about his own work as well. But it is fully booked, unfortunately, at the moment. But if you do want to come and see the exhibition, please do book and maybe try a Wednesday afternoon or something like that. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you, everybody on Zoom. And as I said, there will be a recording available later on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. All morning time. Thank you very much. Thank you.